Something truly shocking has just been revealed about Season 6 of The Chosen. A brand new scene has been shown to a select audience, and while the full footage cannot be shared yet, the details that have come out are powerful enough to spark endless conversation. What makes this so important is that it doesn't just preview another moment in the story. It offers a deeper look at the most emotional and history-shaping events of the series so far. Before diving into the scene itself, there is something massive happening behind the curtain. Season 6 is not just another season. It is being shaped into the biggest and most ambitious project The Chosen has ever attempted. For years, viewers have walked with the disciples, seen miracles unfold, and felt the tension build toward the ultimate sacrifice. Now, the creative team has revealed that the season finale will not be a standard two-part ending. Instead, it will be a full-length feature film, more expensive and more challenging to create than anything they have produced before. This is history in the making. Imagine the crucifixion being presented on a scale so immersive that it feels like stepping into the story itself. That is what the finale is promising. The production requires around $30 million to bring to life, and incredibly, over $21 million has already been raised. That means the team is closing in on their goal with just under $9 million left to secure. Every contribution matters, because what is being built here is not just another television moment. It is a cinematic experience that could reshape how the world remembers the story of Jesus for an entirely new generation. But let's circle back to what made fans lose their breath this week. During the live stream, a raw and unfinished version of a new scene from Season 6 was revealed. Even though the footage itself cannot be shown publicly yet, the dialogue and the emotions within it tell us so much about where the story is headed. This moment focuses on Malchus and John, taking place just after one of the most unforgettable events in Scripture, the arrest of Jesus. To understand why this scene carries so much weight, remember where Malchus stands in the story. He is the servant who had his ear cut off in the chaos of the garden, only to have it miraculously restored by Jesus. That single act forever marked him because he experienced firsthand the healing power of the man now being dragged toward trial. In this new moment, Malchus finds himself standing outside the house of Caiaphas, the high priest, still grappling with what he has seen and what it might mean. Standing with him is John, who has his own connection with Malchus dating back to earlier seasons. Their bond is complicated. It is marked by tension, but also by an undercurrent of respect, and that dynamic becomes the foundation of their exchange here. The air is heavy. Jesus has already been arrested. The disciples are scattered, and Rome is watching closely as the fate of this man who stirred thousands hangs in the balance. What unfolds between John and Malchus is not just conversation. It is a clash between fear and faith, between skepticism and conviction. And as the dialogue begins, it becomes clear that both men are wrestling with questions that cut to the heart of the entire story. The scene begins with Malchus speaking first. His words are sharp and heavy, almost as if he is trying to convince himself of the truth as much as he is trying to inform John. He explains that Jesus will soon be questioned by Annas, the former high priest, a man with influence that still echoes loudly in Jerusalem. John immediately replies, reminding Malchus that the people love Jesus, but Malchus counters with a grim reality. He says that things have changed, that Jesus was beloved, but the tide has shifted. In those few lines, you can feel the tension. John holds on to hope, while Malchus speaks with the weariness of someone who has seen power crush innocence before. The conversation deepens when John presses him, asking if Annas listens to the people at all. Malchus shakes his head, emphasizing that political maneuvering and survival matter more than truth. Pilate's name soon enters the conversation. Malchus mentions that the Roman governor is aware of the arrest, trying to keep his distance yet inevitably being pulled into the storm. John, filled with urgency, asks Malchus directly what he means by all of this, and then the words come like a stone dropped into still water. Malchus says quietly, "I think it's over, John." That single line changes everything. For Malchus, it is resignation. For John, it is a challenge. The weight of it lingers before John pushes back. He reminds Malchus of what Jesus has done, not just for the crowds, but for him personally. Jesus healed his ear. He showed compassion to someone who had come to arrest him. John asks, "Can't you do something? You've seen it with your own eyes." Malchus, torn between duty and awe, responds with a mixture of doubt and distance. If Jesus can heal the ear of a soldier, then surely he can save himself. But John refuses to let the thought rest. If he wanted to, John insists. The suggestion cuts deeper than it seems at first. If Jesus truly wanted to save himself, he could. The fact that he does not speaks volumes about his mission. Malchus, confused and struggling, asks the most human question of all. Why wouldn't he want to? That moment crystallizes the divide between the two men. For Malchus, survival and power are the only logical paths. For John, salvation is not about self-preservation, but about sacrifice. John's words carry that conviction. He is here for our salvation, to free us. He has never once lifted a hand to defend himself. There is a pause, a moment of silence that says more than words ever could. Malchus then offers something unexpected. He tells John that he might be able to let him see Jesus before he is taken deeper into custody. It is not a promise of rescue or hope, only a small gesture from a conflicted man who knows he owes something to the one who healed him. But the fragile calm is shattered when Judas enters the scene. His arrival is sudden, his presence sharp and unsettling. Malchus steps back, leaving space for the tension between the two men who know each other too well. John's face hardens. His disbelief is raw. The wound of betrayal is still fresh, and the sight of Judas only deepens it. Judas, however, carries himself with a strange mix of confidence and unease. He tells John that he is surprised to see him there. The words are casual, almost dismissive, but John refuses to let them pass unchallenged. His reply drips with bitterness. You're surprised? It is less a question and more a demand for explanation. What follows is one of the most unsettling exchanges in the entire series so far. Judas insists that he loves them all. The words sound hollow, but he speaks them with conviction. John, stunned by the audacity, throws the word back at him. Love? The idea that betrayal could coexist with love is unbearable to him. Judas, though, presses on, claiming that everything he has done is for the good of Jesus and for Israel. Judas's words linger in the air like smoke. He claims this betrayal is not betrayal at all, but a necessary act of love. He says it is for the good of Israel, for the good of Jesus himself. His voice trembles with conviction, as if he is desperate to persuade not only John, but himself. John can hardly contain his anger. The thought of Judas using the word love to describe what he has done feels like a knife twisting in the heart. Yet Judas does not stop. He insists this moment is monumental, that it marks a turning point for all of them. He says he has thought through every possible outcome and that this was the path that had to be taken. The audacity of his reasoning shocks John. For Judas, the betrayal is not an act of weakness, but of certainty. He even recalls what their rabbi once taught them, that the greatest commandment is to love God with all their heart and mind. Twisting those sacred words, Judas justifies his actions as obedience. He says he has reasoned it all out, and in his mind, this is the only way. John, choking on the weight of disbelief, delivers a line that cuts deeper than any accusation. I'm sure it must be nice. Judas blinks, confused, and asks what he means. John responds coldly, to be so certain. In those few words, John exposes the flaw in Judas's logic. Faith was never about certainty. Jesus taught them that faith was about believing beyond what could be proven, about trusting even when nothing made sense. Judas tries to push back, reminding John of the night in the garden when Jesus spoke the words, I am, and soldiers fell to the ground. Judas clings to that moment, insisting that it proved Jesus has the power to destroy his enemies. He argues that Jesus must be waiting for the right moment, a grand display in front of Rome, in front of all Israel, where the world will see him revealed as Messiah. But John's anger only grows. He asks Judas how he could possibly believe he knows better than the one he once called teacher. How could he reduce faith to a calculation? How could he justify betrayal in the name of love? The argument reaches a boiling point. Malchus, realizing the danger of the confrontation, urges them to keep their voices down. He warns Judas that they cannot afford to draw attention here, not with guards so close. But John cannot let go. He steps toward Judas with clenched fists. And Judas instinctively pleads, Please, don't hurt me. The words hang in the silence. underscoring the fear that is beginning to crack through Judas's armor of certainty. John, however, does not strike him. Instead, he delivers a line that burns hotter than violence. "Whatever you think love is, Judas, this isn't it." Judas shakes his head, refusing to accept it. He falls into a monologue, speaking with fiery passion, almost as if he is preaching to himself. He insists that there are only two possible outcomes. Either Jesus is the Messiah, and he will rise up with power to defeat his enemies, or he is not the Messiah, and therefore deserves the fate awaiting him. Judas claims that in both cases, his actions were justified. It is a chilling rationalization. Judas places the weight of eternal destiny into his own reasoning, confident that he is forcing events to unfold as they must. His certainty blinds him to the fact that faith is not about control. It is about surrender. John's face hardens with pain. His words tremble with fury. "How dare you believe you know better than he does?" The confrontation spirals, with Judas holding to his logic and John refusing to accept it. Malchus steps in again, urging Judas to leave, offering to get him out quickly before others arrive. But Judas resists, confused by John's intensity. Then the scene shifts, and suddenly another figure emerges in the background. Peter, watching, waiting, searching for a way into the courtyard. Peter's shadow stretches across the courtyard as he approaches, eyes sharp and restless. He has already seen too much, and he is desperate to stay close to the one he loves, even if it means walking straight into danger. John senses the storm brewing. He turns quickly to Judas and lowers his voice, warning him, "Trust me, you do not want Peter to find you right now." Judas, unsettled, tries to speak again, but John cuts him off. The tension between them has reached its breaking point. John's words are final, fierce, and undeniable. "Go." Judas hesitates, still clinging to the illusion that his choices are righteous. Yet Malchus does not wait. He steps in firmly, taking Judas away, pulling him from the confrontation before Peter's fury can ignite. The air thickens with unspoken rage as Judas is led away. John exhales, shaken but resolute, while Peter lingers on the edges, scanning the rooftops. He is calculating his next move, looking for any way to stay within reach of what is about to unfold. His determination mirrors the desperation of the entire group. They are caught between the urge to fight for their teacher and the crushing weight of realizing they cannot stop what has already been set in motion. The scene closes with this uneasy mixture of defiance, betrayal, and sorrow. John, standing in the shadows, bears the weight of Judas's words. Judas himself, carried away by Malchus, clings to the brittle shell of his certainty. And Peter, restless and relentless, prepares for the impossible night ahead. What makes this scene so powerful is not just the dialogue, but the layers of meaning beneath it. Judas is not portrayed as a flat villain. Instead, he is a man blinded by his own reasoning, convincing himself that betrayal is love, that calculation is faith, that certainty is strength. John, on the other hand, embodies what true faith demands, a willingness to trust without answers, to believe when nothing makes sense. And Malchus, caught in the middle, represents the torn heart of someone who has seen the power of Jesus firsthand, yet cannot fully step out of the world he serves. The brilliance of this moment is that it forces us to wrestle with the same questions. Why does Jesus not defend himself? Why does he choose silence when he could shatter his enemies with a word? Why would the Messiah accept suffering rather than call down armies of angels? These questions do not just haunt John and Malchus. They haunt every viewer who dares to step into this story, and this is only a glimpse of what is coming. Behind the scenes, we know the finale of Season 6 is being crafted as a feature-length film, a scale never attempted before in The Chosen. The crucifixion will not be rushed through in a few minutes. It will be given the gravity of an entire cinematic experience, one that could stand beside the greatest depictions ever put to screen. The creators are already deep into production, raising the final millions needed to complete it. But what lingers most after hearing this dialogue is the humanity of it all. Judas, torn between love and ambition. John, clinging to faith through anguish. Malchus, divided by loyalty and gratitude. Peter, simmering with fire and ready to act. Each of them reflects a piece of the struggle we all face when faith collides with fear. Season 6 is shaping up to be the most emotional, most challenging, and most unforgettable chapter yet. And if this single unfinished scene can provoke so much thought and heartache, then what lies ahead will be nothing short of overwhelming. The story is not just continuing. It is reaching its breaking point, and when the finale finally arrives, it promises to leave no heart untouched.